What's up, everyone? And thank you so much for joining my first ever podcast called Amped Unapologetic. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Now, being this is the first one, I'm going to give a little introduction, then just get right into it. Some listeners might know me personally and have seen me state on social accounts, I'm not a fan of being in front of the camera, and I'm not. So never did I think I'd be in front of the camera, let alone making a podcast. But I also never thought America would be a fascist state, and yet, here we are. That's a big part of what's driving me to do this. I'm really tired of the state of our nation. I'm sick of the direct lies coming from our government. I'm sick of the lies coming from state media such as Fox. And I'm beyond baffled. We as Americans have allowed this to happen on our soil. And ultimately, I just have a lot to say. In this space, it's real talk about real life, the politics and people shaping our future, the systems that impact us every single day, and the things we're watching unfold right in front of our eyes. Whether we want to believe it or not, it's happening. But don't worry, that's not all this will be about. Let's face it, we're nearing the end of the NFL season. Bear down. They won again, 10-4. I cannot believe how good they're doing this year. It's so fun to watch. So we'll definitely talk about the NFL, sports in general, music. I'm a punk rock girl at heart, so we'll definitely throw some of that in. And then, of course, other topics. There's plenty of talk to talk about throughout each episode. But please also bear with me. This is all new for me. Literally everything about this is new for me. So I know it's going to be messy in the beginning, especially this one. But as this is a learning for me, my hope is we can all learn a little something together while building a better informed community. Also know this is a safe space for women, for LGBTQ+, for migrants, Black and Brown communities. You matter. Your rights matter. And your voices, they matter. I'm a woman. I'm gay. I'm a brown woman. I care about our society. I care about our freedoms. And I believe in democracy wholeheartedly. I'm firmly against fascism and authoritarian rule. I speak the truth backed by facts with zero apology. And if I have something wrong, I'll own it and I'll correct it. You're going to hear me say things like stay aware, stay informed, and you'll definitely always hear me say stay loud. Because silence is exactly what fascists want. It's what emboldens them. It's what puts people like me back in the closet. And I'm going to tell you right now, that shit will never happen. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's just jump right in. Today we break down a billionaire, but not just any billionaire. Someone who has influenced modern America far more than we typically talk about. An architect behind modern political engineering. And if you want to understand the political direction this country is moving in, you have to understand him. His name, Peter Thiel. So why Peter Thiel? Why episode 1? For me, it's simple. Sure, we could start by talking about Trump or the chaos in Congress or the people who make headlines every single day. I picked Thiel on purpose for my first episode because here's the thing. He's the guy behind them. He's the money. He's the network. He's the ideology. He's the man in the shadows who shapes the people in the spotlight we see every day. His fingerprints are everywhere. Silicon Valley, Facebook, Palantir, the PayPal mafia, far-right political realignment, billionaire-driven dark money. And now, the rise of figures like J.D. Vance. Whether we realize it or not, Thiel has already shaped the direction of American democracy. And what's coming next is happening faster than people think. A lot of us, myself included, didn't know his name until recently. So today, we're going to change that. And we're going to start with the basics. Thiel's early years and what shaped him. Peter Thiel was born in 1967 in Frankfurt, West Germany. His family moved to the U.S. when he was just a baby, probably about 1 year old. His father was a chemical engineer, which led them to bounce around a lot, from Germany to Ohio to South Africa. and eventually landed in Foster City, California when Thiel was about 10. He moved schools constantly, 7 elementary schools to be exact. Now, I want to be clear here. This is not a trauma childhood type of a story. It's the beginning of Thiel trying to control the world around him. You see, when your environments keep shifting, you either adapt or you build systems to stop the chaos. Thiel chose systems. He was brilliant early on, obsessed with math, obsessed with logic and structure. Thiel became a U.S. chess master as a teenager. He excelled in mathematics and scored first in a California statewide mathematics competition in middle school. He graduated valedictorian of San Mateo High School in 1985. Now, he wasn't the kid trying to be popular. Thiel was a kid studying how power works. And this is important because that mindset, it never left him. The young Peter Thiel believed 3 things very strongly. The majority is usually wrong. People who think differently should run the world. And power is most effective when it's quiet and strategic. And honestly, whether we like him or not, he lived that philosophy. He built his wealth and influence by being the guy behind the curtain, not in front of the cameras. That's why most people didn't know his name while he was in the shadows engineering the future. After high school, Thiel went to Stanford. And this is where the Peter Thiel we know today starts taking shape. We'll get deeper into Stanford, his ideology, the Stanford Review, Carl Schmitt, and the formation of his political mindset soon. But this is a turning point. You see, Stanford didn't just give him a degree, it gave him access. It pulled him in to elite circles. It connected him to the future tech world. And it made him the intellectual he is today. Smart, strategic, extremely ideological, and committed to a worldview most Americans would find extremely dangerous. So let's take this back to Stanford, because this is where Peter Thiel becomes Peter Thiel. He studied philosophy, but he wasn't drawn to the peaceful, spiritual kind of philosophy. He was drawn to the thinkers who challenged everything, the ones who pushed back against the majority, who questioned democracy, who critiqued modern society. While at Stanford, Peter Thiel founded the Stanford Review, a conservative, libertarian newspaper, because he felt the campus was too liberal and too unwilling to debate. Now, here's where things get interesting. At Stanford, Thiel starts shaping his contrarian identity. Now, what is a contrarian? A contrarian deliberately goes against mainstream beliefs, sees themselves as the outsider, the rebel thinker, assumes conventional wisdom is usually wrong, prides themselves on being the truth teller while everyone else is too weak to be. And sometimes that confidence becomes extremism masked as intellect. Thiel had adopted this identity early, and it becomes the backbone of everything he builds. One of the most important alarming philosophies that influenced Thiel came from a German political theorist named Carl Schmitt. Schmitt was anti-democratic, believed the public was too chaotic to govern, supported authoritarian rule, believed in the friend versus enemy view of politics, and yes, his ideas influenced the Nazi legal system. This is not speculation. Thiel has openly cited Schmitt's work for decades. Now, why does this matter? Because Schmitt's worldview matches a political ecosystem Thiel is currently trying to build. Strong leaders, weak democracy, elite controlled, tech-driven surveillance, politics as a zero-sum war. This is not theoretical. It is the foundation of Palantir, of his political donations, of why he invests in people like J.D. Vance. And you're going to see that connection a little later. After Stanford Law School, Thiel tried working as a lawyer and only lasted 7 months. Not because he wasn't smart enough, because he certainly was. He just hated it. So he pivoted to finance, working as a derivatives trader. A derivative is basically a bet on the future. It's a math heavy, psychological heavy, and it's all about predicting outcomes before they happen. This is exactly how Thiel thinks, so it definitely makes sense. After a few years in finance, he raised roughly $700,000 from friends and family and launched Thiel Capital in 1996. So now he's young, he's brilliant, has money behind him, and fully immersed in Silicon Valley. This is where things really take off. In 1998, Thiel met Max Levchin, a Ukrainian-born programmer obsessed with cryptography. Levchin had a concept for secure digital payments. Thiel had the capital, the ambition, and the strategic mindset. Together, they created Confinity, the foundation of what would eventually become PayPal. Thiel invested about $240,000 of his own money to get it off the ground. The idea exploded, millions of users. Then a soon-to-be merger with Elon Musk, which led to the rise of what people now call the PayPal Mafia. The group of early PayPal employees who went on to build Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn, Yelp, YouTube, Palantir, and Affirm. It's basically the Avengers of Silicon Valley. And Thiel is a strategic mindset sitting right in the middle of it all. PayPal went public, then sold to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion. Thiel walked away with multi-millions and an even more powerful network. But this was not the end. This was the beginning of his influence. In 2004, Peter Thiel becomes a kingmaker. This is when he makes one of the most legendary deals in tech history. He invested $500,000 into a small Harvard social network called Facebook in exchange for 10% of the company and a board seat. Thiel was the first outsider investor in Facebook. Not only did this make him a billionaire, it gave him influence over the direction of social media, access to unprecedented data, and the ability to shape a platform that now influences billions of people around the world. He encouraged Facebook to scale aggressively and ignore overregulation, prioritize influence over caution. Thiel wasn't thinking about connecting friends like we all do when we use that site. He was thinking about power. He was now a billionaire, a kingmaker, and plugged into the most powerful technology companies in the world. And he's not done yet. In 2003, Thiel co-founded Palantir with Alex Karp. This company was seeded with money from In-Q-Tel, the venture arm of the CIA. Yes, you heard me right, and I'll repeat that. The CIA helped him fund Palantir. Palantir builds extremely advanced data systems used by intelligence agencies, the Pentagon, ICE, local police departments, and counterterrorism units. The software can track people, analyze patterns, connect data across agencies, predict risk, and create powerful surveillance models. Thiel doesn't see this as a positive for humans. He sees data as a form of governance, a form of control. His belief is simple. Whoever controls information ultimately controls society. And Palantir is the embodiment of that belief. And it's already embedded deep into the United States government. So now that Thiel is a billionaire, a kingmaker, and basically the godfather of Silicon Valley, he turns towards something bigger. Now what's left? Politics. And this part is important because this is where his worldview starts shaping our world. At first, Thiel identified as a libertarian, hands-off government, let innovation solve problem, freedom above all. But as time went on, as the money rolled in, he became deeply disillusioned with democracy. He now believed America was stagnating, innovation was dying, Institutions were too slow. Voters, well, were too emotional. And democracy was ultimately incompatible with progress. Thiel once said publicly, and I quote, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible." This is not a quote of someone who simply dislikes government. This is the quote of someone who thinks the public should not be trusted with power. This is where the Carl Schmitt influence shows up again. Thiel stops believing in democracy and starts believing in strong leaders running society with minimal public input. Not elected leaders, elite leaders, people like him. Dark money, quiet influence, and political engineering. From the early 2010s forward, Thiel starts donating strategically, not broadly, but with surgical precision. He funds anti-democratic think tanks, conservative legal movements, far-right PACs, anti-establishment candidates, and court-shaping organizations, which we will 100% talk about in another episode. He becomes a key figure behind major Republican realignment efforts. But here's what separates Thiel from other billionaires. He doesn't just fund candidates, he builds them. He looks for younger candidates, moldable candidates, people with conversion stories, people with blue-collar backgrounds who can sell a political message, people who owe their rise to him. Because if you find someone before they're powerful, you shape them into what they become. That's Peter Thiel's entire political strategy, and that strategy leads us directly into J.D. Vance. We're going to get into J.D. Vance in episode 2, but before we get there, there's one more part of Thiel we need to address, and that is the Gawker lawsuit, which is all about power, revenge, and controlling the media. The Gawker lawsuit is one of the clearest examples of how Thiel uses money to control narratives. Back in the 2000s, Gawker publicly outed Thiel as gay. Some said it was cruel, some said it was disrespectful, and even dangerous. But one thing's for sure, Peter Thiel never forgot it. Fast forward to years later, when Hulk Hogan sued Gawker for posting his sex tape, Thiel secretly funded the entire lawsuit. We're talking millions he put behind Hogan, with one objective, to destroy the company. And he succeeded. Gawker went bankrupt. Now, this isn't about defending Gawker, as they did do unethical things. But the bigger point is this. Thiel proved that billionaires, they don't need to buy a media company. He could just bankrupt the ones he doesn't like. This was a warning shot, a demonstration that he alone can shape media by eliminating media. Now he funds alternative outlets and political influencers that support his worldview. Thiel has a vision of a post-democratic America. This part is where the seriousness truly comes in, not fear, but facts. Thiel believes the U.S. needs a radical change, that democracy slows innovation, elites should guide society, tech should govern institutions, and data should manage people. And individual rights, well, those should be reinterpreted through efficiency and order. This ideology shows up in Palantir's surveillance state expansion, his support for authoritarian-leaning politicians, his alignment with Christian nationalist movements, and his investments in leaders who support strict social control. This is not speculation. This is stated in his worldview, repeated in speeches and essays, in his donations and political alliances. Thiel does not want America to collapse. He wants America to be rebuilt in a way where the public has significantly less power. And people like him, they have significantly more power. This is not a conspiracy. It's his philosophy, and it's a dangerous one. Now, why J.D. Vance? Let me set up the transition into episode 2. Because Thiel didn't stumble into J.D. Vance. He didn't just discover him by accident. Thiel was looking for someone just like Vance. Someone who had a working class story, could appeal to the Rust belt voters, was smart, elite polish, and strategic, had a redemption arc, was young enough to shape, had the right mix of charm, discipline, and ambition. With a flexible mind, he can shape. Vance was a perfect political product. Thiel didn't just donate to him, he funded his career, placed him in Silicon Valley, introduced him to power players, groomed him, shaped his messaging, funded his Senate run, facilitated his meeting with Trump, and accelerated him from memoir guy to vice president of the United States in record time. Thiel wasn't building a senator. He was building a vehicle to drive his ideas and worldviews. And in episode 2, we're going to break down exactly how that happened, step by step. But for now, I'm going to wrap up today's episode. In conclusion, Peter Thiel is a complex figure, brilliant,